welcome to another episode of Tormenta Talk. We are La Tormenta, the official supporters group for West Texas FC, and I am joined here by the ever-present Brian Hodnett and Chris Haig, and we are again joined by a special guest, Scotty Murray, the Gaffer himself. Thanks so much for joining us today, Scotty.
Thank you for having me, as always. Pleasure, boys. Pleasure.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to kind of talk about, now that we've had some distance, just reflecting back on West Texas FC season, but also kind of like talking a little bit how we've got now a big gap until West Texas FC plays again, and kind of how to stay plugged into the sport, how to kind of keep scratching that itch that we now all have thanks to a raucous, exciting summer. And so, Scotty, I'd love to just kind of start by asking, now we've had a little time. You probably had time to kind of reflect and really process the season overall. But I'm just curious, kind of, when you look back on this most previous season, what are some of the things that come to mind? What did you learn? What were some highlights for you as far as kind of what you took out of the season?
Look, I think you nailed it by saying it was a raucous season. I think that's a perfect word to kind of describe it. It had its ups and downs, its highs and lows, and I'm glad we're doing this podcast now and not, immediately after the season ended, so that I've, had time to kind of sit back and reflect and think about the good things that happen, the bad things that happen. And overall, I think the word that comes to mind for me is just pride. I think, I came in and I had a mission in place, a mission in mind, and we lived up to that mission. So I've just got, a lot of immense pride to the boys, to the club, to the owners, to the management, right through the entire club. I'm just proud of everyone that was a part of it. And I think that we achieved something special on the field. I think we achieved something special off the field. And I think that there were a lot of lessons as well. So, yeah, I think just pride is the word that comes to mind. And, it's been about a month now and I just miss it. I miss being out there every morning with the boys, training, preparing, playing. I miss getting out there to stay on broadband, ready for a big game for our fans. It's a bittersweet feeling knowing that the season's done, but at the same time, like I said, there's just so much to be proud of, and that's kind of where I'm at in my reflection for the season.
That's great. Yeah. What questions do you guys have kind of to Scotty about kind of last season?
Something I'm curious about, Scotty, is you're talking about the end of the season, that pride you feel, that sort of thing. The season is so short, right, for West Texas. It's a quick season, goes by fast. Then a lot of these boys are getting ready to go back to college with seasons that are probably a little bit longer. I'm just curious, what's that messaging to them like as they get ready to finish up here and then move on to whatever their next step may be?
I mean, I made it clear to these boys that came in before the summer that I'm going to be their biggest fan, their biggest supporter, okay? Whatever their goals, whatever their ambition is. If they want to come and join West Texas with the goal being, hey, I want this to be a stepping stone to go professional, I'll do whatever I can in my power to help that happen. If my goal is to go back to my college in the fall and be first team all conference, second team all conference to make a name for myself, then I'll do whatever I can to prepare myself for that. And so everything that I did this summer, obviously I want to win trophies, I want to win games, I want to win championships, which ultimately we did. We won another regular season championship this summer. But at the end of the day, these boys are using this as a platform, as a stepping stone to go back to their college, to go back to their club, to go back to their team and make an impact. So it's, using that kind of, like I said, stepping stone to get the most out of the boys and the most out of the players. And regardless of the fact that the season's over, the majority of these boys I'm in contact with every day, every second day. I'm watching games, my schedule, my calendar. I don't have it's free from this because I'm just watching games. I'm checking scores, just making sure that I'm still keeping up to date with these boys and making sure they're getting the best experience at college and helping as best as I can, even though the season for West Texas FC is done.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
It's a full-time job, man. I mean, I've got my calendar is blocked. All these colors, boom, boom, game, match. Sharing them on Instagram, seeing all these guys play, trying to catch snippets. I mean, there's not enough hours in the day. One thing I wanted to ask you from last season was, can you give us something, your greatest accomplishment and your most challenging moment?
That's tough, putting me on the spot. We'll start with
You got to ask the tough questions, man. This isn't easy.
Yeah, we'll always start with the negative first. I think toughest moment, and I think we can all agree on this, conference final day, okay? You can beat around the bush and you can, blame one thing or another. But at the end of the day, that was obviously the biggest hurdle we faced this year. And, for us to come so far and achieve so much as a collective group, for it to be taken away like that, was tough. It was devastating. It was difficult for the boys. So that was definitely the biggest hurdle, because I felt like our season was cut short, undeservedly so. I think that, there was a lot of football left to be played for myself, my staff, my boys, and we were very excited for that, and I think we deserve to be in that situation. But that's the nature of the NPSL. That's the brutality of the NPSL. You look at another similar competition like USL 2, we would have made it to nationals, because they don't do it based on one team getting out of a conference. It's just the way the structure works, and sometimes it works in your favor, and sometimes it bites you in the backside. And unfortunately for us, it worked negatively. But that's the biggest negative for me, was just that final game, because like I said, we just weren't ready to be done. We still had so much, not just so much football to be played, so much good football to be played, because we'd worked so long and so hard throughout the summer to get to a point where we would back ourselves against any opposition. And I've spoken to all of you guys individually, moving forward after that game, even though we weren't a part of it, I felt like we could have really made a name for ourselves. So that was definitely the biggest hurdle for me. The biggest accomplishment, and what I look back on, which resonates with the most success, is the retention rate this summer. We started the summer with 30 guys. We ended with, I think, 27 or 28. When you compare that to the year before, and then even the year before that, the retention, just the fact that we kept so many boys, I can pick 18 guys for the roster, which means that I still had 12 guys not even dressing for games, and the majority of those boys stuck it out for the whole summer. And I think that kind of speaks volumes to the culture that we built. It's obviously, for these boys, it's really important to step foot on the field, to play, to have an impact, but for them it was more. It was more about the club and more about what we were trying to build. And you look at all these other teams, not just in our conference, but all around the country, that were having to sign entire new starting 11s because they'd lost their team. That was just not the case for us. The culture was instilled from day one, and the retention rate was there right until the very end. So that's one thing I'm really immensely proud of for the boys.
Absolutely. I mean, when we recapped our season, when we broke it all down, the word I used was special. And that was a very special part of what y'all put together out there for us, for the fans, for everybody watching. So the retention, seeing the guys, everybody willing to fight, and man, this is the year it felt like it was lined up to go all the way. Unfortunately, something didn't go our way. But, that's sport, man. That's the way it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
But yeah, it was a special ride to watch you and your players and the staff, everything, man. It was just great overall. That was a really special thing to see.
I'm glad.
Yeah, how do you do that, Scotty? Like, you don't have much time, right? It's not like you get a big preseason where you really get to instill that culture. It's almost something you kind of have to do really fast, and then you kind of have to do it as you're playing matches, right? Like, what was your strategy going in, and did you kind of have to pivot, as you were going along? Just how did you create that culture? How'd you go about doing that?
Look, they always say there's a method to the madness. There's a method behind it, okay? Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes poorly, sometimes you lose players, sometimes you lose matches. And I think we saw from the beginning of the season, it was a learning curve for us. We did not get off to the best start, right? I think, we got off to a really good result away to Fort Worth. Then we lost at home to Oklahoma, and we tied to Brownsville. So in the first 3 games of the season, we were not in a position that we wanted to be. But as I said, building that culture, building the chemistry, building the camaraderie, it takes time. And in a summer season, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I think the longer that we got, for lack of a better word, acclimatized to one another as a staff and as the playing group, and it just clicked. And when it clicked, it was special. It was really, really special. And, I'll even be the first one to say, in soccer especially, you don't need to have the most talented team. I think we had a very talented team. But you don't need the most talented team. As long as you've got culture, you've got a good discipline, the players will fight for each other, they'll run through a brick wall for one another, then you've always got a chance against anyone, any condition, any day, any time, any temperature. It doesn't really matter. The circumstances are completely irrelevant. If you've got a team that are willing to run through a brick wall for one another, that's literally all that matters. And that's what I wanted to instill. And it didn't happen for the first 2 to 3 weeks. There were changes that had to be made with personnel that were playing, that were not playing. But at the end of the day, we got there. And it clicked, and it was special. And it was a really, really fun thing to see. And I will still stick by that same principle as a coach. Now, at the start of the season, next season, wherever I go, is the culture is above everything. It's above everything. I will sacrifice every single win that I'll get in the season to instill a good, positive culture to make sure that these young men are leaving the summer better than when they came in. That's a non-negotiable for me. So I'm a big believer in controlling the controllables, you know, and there are a lot of things that are out of our control. Take the last game against Lubbock. Things are out of our control. There's nothing we can do about that. But there's so many things that we can control. And the things that we can control, if we stay on top of it, we do it the right way, we do it in a positive manner, we do it in a way that uplifts one another, I was never not going to be proud of the boys. So for that reason, the culture stayed from day one to the final day.
Yeah, well said.
Love it.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about culture too, because I think in all sports, but I see it in soccer where some fans don't necessarily understand that aspect of it because there's a lot you don't hear behind the scenes. You don't hear what's going on in the locker room, in team discussions. And I think also sometimes there's this culture of like, if you play FIFA, it's all about just picking the best players with the best ratings and pop them on the field.
Yeah.
And from a fan's perspective, you can think, well, this is the most talented player. Just stick him here, stick him there. But it is a lot that you can't really measure, and that culture piece of it. And one thing that I'm curious about related to culture, you've been here for a couple of years now coaching in West Texas. As you think about like bringing players here, a lot of players probably would have never thought about coming to play in Midland, Odessa. So I'm just curious about that conversation too with players. Like, what's the sell on bringing them here to this area that they may not think about coming to play at?
So being a head coach of a summer team, you're ultimately just a salesman. At the end of the day, I have to sell myself. I have to sell the club. I have to sell the location. Okay, because there is so many talented players within filtering through the college system here in the US. There's so many talented players, and you know, I probably had 250 phone calls before this summer. But the lesson that I learned very quickly as a head coach is just as much as you need players to come in and make a positive impact, and you need to flatter those players, they also need you. It works both ways. So I can't just see a guy watch a 3-minute highlight video and think, this guy's incredibly talented, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get him. That's not the case at all. I pick up the phone with this guy, and after 2 minutes, I see that his mentality is all wrong. He's here for selfish reasons. He wants to boost his highlights. He wants to score more goals than get assists. That's a red flag to me. And you're not going to fit in the culture, regardless of how talented you are. It works both ways. So out of the 250 phone calls I had, I probably had 100 guys that wanted to come to West Texas. However, 50 of those I said no to. It wasn't the players saying, no, I've got a better opportunity. So it's about finding the balance of finding the right kind of people. Like I said, and you know, I'm sure you guys have all heard this, but you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It's a very, very true statement. Okay, give me 11 players that will grind for one another rather than 11 Messis any day of the week. Okay, give me the guys that are going to grind, that are going to work harder than the guy next to them. Those are the guys I want to work with. Those are the guys. I call them bulldogs, warriors, guys that will just fight for one another. And even if they're not the most talented, they're going to play a bigger part, especially in a short, condensed season like the summer. So that's a big part of my recruitment process, is just making sure not just that they're the right fit for us, but we're the right fit for them. It works both ways.
Yeah, that's good insight. That's cool.
Love it.
So as we kind of hit this middle ground, right? And every year it's the same, right? Like we have this crazy couple of months where there's games, you know, sometimes twice a week or at least once a week. And now we kind of get through this period in between seasons. I'm just curious, Scotty, like for the people who are listening who went to the games and said, man, soccer is like pretty fantastic, right? What kind of, and this is maybe less a question of you as a coach, but you as just a soccer fan, What are some ways to kind of keep plugged in with the sport that you see or that you engage in during kind of this school year kind of time?
So it's funny you say that, because the summer is usually a period of time when we have a break, when we switch off from professional soccer. Okay, you've got different sports, particularly here in the US, that are active. You don't have football, you don't have NBA, basketball, you don't have college sports. It's kind of a bit of a time off for sports. But it's funny because this past summer was a real break for soccer. Last year, however, was not. If you remember 2024, the Euros were happening. So there's some big-time pro soccer to be watching. And now, obviously, moving forward to 2026, you got the World Cup here in the United States, here in North America. So, there's a lot to be going on. But for the fall especially, I mean, for someone who doesn't really follow soccer too much, this is the most exciting time of the year outside of West Texas FC. You got every major league in Europe, every major league in South America up and running. Myself, I'm a massive English Premier League fan, English Championship fan, and my weekends are tied up now. I mean, I'm up at watching games, it's the culture and the way things are now. And I think the hype and the build up to what's going to actually happen in North America next year in 2026, it needs to start getting elevated now. If people are interested, if people are thinking, wow, I went to a West Texas FC game or two and I loved it, I love the environment, I love the atmosphere, you got to be watching games now. I think now we're on an international break as well, where the US are playing, country Australia is playing. Like, there's no shortage of opportunities to keep up to date with your country, with your club, with the boys that you supported this summer playing at college. There's just unlimited potential to watch games at this time of the year. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for people to continue to kind of, I guess, put themselves out there and learn more about the game and get more involved and get more excited about it.
That's a great shout. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that Scotty is saying. There's always soccer to be watched, right? Like that's why I have my Ecuador jersey on tonight. They played Paraguay in World Cup qualifying. I would say for fans who have gotten into West Texas FC, but not a lot of other soccer, a few things that come to mind. One is download the FOTMob app, and there's others as well, but my preference is FOTMob. And you'll see, I mean, every weekend there's just so much soccer to be consumed. And I think like now, because everything's so split and it's like all streaming, you can just kind of choose. Like, it's too hard to keep up with all the leagues. So you can just kind of choose, like, okay, do I want to follow a Premier League? Do I want to pick a Serie A team and follow the Italian league? Like, you can just kind of pick and choose, and that could even depend on what's your, what streaming services do you have. The other thing that I would say, one thing that I think is hard for us as Americans is choosing a team, right? Choosing a European team, because we don't have that personal connection. It's not like West Texas where we, go down the road and go to a home game. So one thing that I think is fun is just getting to know teams. And obviously these past few years, the Wrexham documentary has been huge. There's others, right, that you can find a bunch of different documentaries. Some are short term. Just end of the summer, I watched the Birmingham behind the scenes documentary, and like that's a club I didn't know much about. And so it was fun to watch that. And kind of like we were talking earlier, that culture building part, that's what's fun about some of those, because you get to know the team on a deeper level. What's the background of the history of the club? How's the team put together? So I don't know, there's that type of thing to explore as well. And then if you have a little bit of an attachment, you're drawn into watching those games on a weekend.
Just to touch on that as well, which I really like, you touched on Birmingham City. Tom Brady, he's a majority owner now of Birmingham City. You take Wrexham, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney. These are household names in America. These influential people here in the United States are buying these top professional soccer clubs in Europe. There's a reason for that. They love it. You watch the documentary, it's not a business transaction for Ryan Reynolds. He genuinely loves it. I think he's bought a house in Wrexham in Wales now. He spends half the year there. He's dragged his wife, Blake Lively, there. Like, they're so involved, so invested in the whole experience of football in Northern Wales. And you take those two, you take Tom Brady of Birmingham City, and I'm pretty sure quite a few more that are starting to kind of dip their toes in the water of buying clubs over there. And I think that passion is just going to accelerate the need for wanting to get involved here in the United States.
definitely.
Yeah,
And-
yeah. I think the ones that come to mind for me, just off the top of my head, is I believe Arsenal is owned by the same group that owns the Rams. Chelsea was recently purchased by the Dodgers group. My Liverpool is owned by Fenway Sports Group. The American involvement in soccer has like skyrocketed. What's the actor? Michael B. Jordan is part owner in the Bees, right? Brentford. And so, is it Brentford or Bournemouth? It's Brentford, isn't it?
Brentford, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, clearly, like, as these games get easier to watch, and again, it's fun because, I think championship is typically on Friday kind of mornings in the U.S., and then Saturday, Sunday mornings and afternoon, you've got Premier League stuff. Most evenings, you've got MLS going on. It's just crazy how much there is to watch.
And like you said,
that's what I was going to say too. I have to mention MLS, right? I've got all my Verde and black behind me. I mean, that's the thing. MLS is happening every weekend, and like you said, Scotty, the fall is a great time for soccer. College ball is starting up, and then MLS, we're getting towards the end of the season. Playoffs starting fairly soon. So there's always MLS to watch. I'm frustrated that for an average fan, it's behind a paywall on Apple TV Plus, but it is what it is. But there's always MLS to watch as well.
Yeah, USL. You can get USL on ESPN if you want to,
That's
like
true.
San Antonio FC.
Yep.
El Paso Locomotives.
Yeah, ESPN Plus has a ton of soccer to watch for sure.
Yep.
So one of those that you mentioned, Scotty, is a lot of the guys we know and love, right, from this past season, or even the season before that. I'm just curious, kind of, can you kind of give us an update maybe on how some of those boys are doing? Before we started recording, we were talking about some of the highlights we've seen of Yart, who I think was a favorite here at West Texas, and it was a bummer that he didn't really get to, wasn't fit enough to get onto the pitch till late. But man, he is looking like unbelievable right now. But I'm just curious, kind of who else is going and kind of where can we see that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Yart's a great example. He's absolutely killing it now. I mean, I spoke to you guys before, and he went back to his college, Cal State Northridge, and his first game for them, he scored the winning goal against UCLA. He's on fire at the moment. I've been watching highlights of him. He's doing fantastic. Some other boys to note, I can't mention every single one of them, but another couple of boys is Justin. Obviously, another big fan favorite.
Yep.
Rock solid as a center back for us this summer. He's just killing it at Milligan. I think Milligan University are going to be one of the top kind of 10, 15 teams in the country, NAIA. And he's just a rock in the back line there. A couple of the other boys, Caio Pereira, Caden Maldonado, have gone back to Faulkner, and Faulkner's made a very, very good start to the season in the NAIA as well, in a conference that's, in my opinion, going to be wide open and ready for the taking. Who else have we got? There's several other guys. Alberto's gone to Cali College, and I think he's just going to absolutely destroy that league, that conference himself. I believe he's played 3 or 4 games, and I believe he's got 4 or 5 goals and 4 or 5 assists already.
Wow.
And those are the stats that give me a lot of pride as a coach, and I'm in touch with all these boys. And even guys, I'll give another example and another shout out is Cole. One of the boys I brought in who left halfway through the season, for various reasons, and now that he's done, he's graduated. We still are in direct contact, and I'm doing everything I can to help him get to the next step, to the next level. Whatever it takes from me and my professional contacts to help him get there. And then if you want to go the year back, Luke McCormick, one of our studs from 2024, he's absolutely killing it at Texoma in USL 1, starting every game. He just got, I don't know if you guys saw, a USL 1 goal of the week last week. Scored a banger from outside the box, top bins,
Beautiful.
Yeah, just an outrageous finish. So, it gives me a lot of immense pride to see these boys that have worked under me and boys that I've coached just be successful. And that's what I mean. The fall is a tricky time to be able to watch everyone. I can't watch everyone. I can't see everyone, but I do whatever I can to stay in touch and in contact with these boys. And like I said, I'm their biggest fan, their biggest supporter, and whatever they need from me moving forward, I'm going to be there.
Yep. Merchant's doing well up north, man. He's having a good time up there.
Him and Marcel together. Yep.
And then Liam Core from last season, he's having a good time. I think it's Mercer. He's doing pretty well down there, scoring almost averaging a goal a match.
Yep.
it's fun, man. Checking in on these guys. Like I always tell everybody when they come here, is like it's West Texas forever, man. I'm gonna try to keep up as best as I can as long as you're playing.
I'll give another shout out by name here is Rex Pierce. I mean, and one of my fellow Aussies. I'll be honest, he struggled to get a foot in with the team here, and he's started pretty much every game Division 1 for Detroit Mercy this fall. I knew he had potential. I knew he was a great player, and ultimately, it was tough for him here this summer. But for him to go back this fall and to showcase his ability and show what he's capable of at the Division 1 level and prove himself as an established starter speaks volumes to the depth that we had this past summer.
They're telling you had a squad, man. Guys everywhere.
That's right. I'm curious, Scotty, I'll ask you first, but Brian and then Chris, I'm just so kind of people know some of the teams that we follow. Who are some of the teams you're watching right now, Scotty, besides obviously the ones where we have West Texas FC people on, but just what are some of the teams you've supported over the years and kind of why do you support them?
Yeah, I mean, my team, unfortunately, so right now is Southampton Football Club. So Chris, you alluded to earlier, different streaming services have different kinds. And I was a bit stressed going into this year because obviously as a Southampton fan, we just got relegated from the Premier League after the second worst season in Premier League history. Don't really want to talk about it, but here we are. So I knew that we were getting demoted to the Championship. And I found out through a friend of a friend that Paramount Plus plays all the Championship games. They don't play any Premier League, but they play all the Championship games. I'm like, well, I got to sign up. $8 a month. Let's go. So now I'm on Paramount Plus. So I watch all my Southampton games and all the other Championship games because that's the only way I can watch my boys. And I might be biased. I believe the Championship, which is the second division in England, is the best league in the world to follow. It's the most competitive, most intense. So yeah, I've been a Southampton fan from when I lived there. I lived over in that part of the UK, and I've just been a fan of that club my entire life. I also have I also follow very closely my hometown team, Sydney FC, in the Australian League. So that's another team that is very close to my heart. I've still yet to find my MLS team. I'm open to discussing it if you guys want to persuade me.
Austin.
Hey, listos.
I knew it for Austin, but I don't really know for sure yet. I kind of have a thing. I like LAFC. I love Sonny. So I kind of like the California-based teams, but that's open for discussion if you guys want to persuade me. I'd love to hear your arguments. So.
That's awesome. How about you, Brian?
Love it. Okay, well, I guess let me start behind West Texas FC, Midland United for my 14-year-old son, Dynasty FC for my 9-year-old daughter, Reign FC for my 6-year-old daughter. Those are my favorite ones right now in the world.
Absolutely.
So then we go to the Prem, Manchester United. So love it, hate it, lump it. I don't care. Let's go. It's all about the badge. I had a buddy of mine years ago when I didn't care about soccer. He was so involved with United, and I love the passion. People told me it's like the Yankees of soccer. Don't care. My buddy was so passionate about it that he loved it. He was yelling, F Chelsea, dude, blah, 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 just mad at everybody else in the world, and they were doing so good. I was like, this must be something cool. So I was like, okay, by default, United. So you got them.
I thought you were about to go into like, hey, I'm also a Cowboys fan, and I'm just a glutton for punishment these days.
We're getting there, Luke. We're getting there. American football, they're on right now. They're losing. So I like to pick teams that don't win things. It's great. Like they won things a long time ago. I mean, I saw the last Cowboys 3 Super Bowls, but Serie A, again, paying for Paramount Plus. AC Milan, dig them. Juventus right here. But really like AC Milan down there. Let's see, MLS. If I'm picking, it's Austin FC. USL 2 or USL is San Antonio FC. And there's so many other that's my international team other than the US, Portugal. Love watching my Cristiano Ronaldo guys play. Let's go. So, but just different things. My son is the one that got me into Cristiano Ronaldo. Loved him. Great, great role model, great example. My daughters watching them. We watched women's soccer. We watched them play. It's great, man. It's we fell into this thing about 8-9 years ago and just went head first, bloop. And now leader of a supporters group. got the headband, got everything else, and here we are. And it's on all the time. Other than like tonight, there's not much but the Cowboys on. So, what do you do?
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I said earlier, as an American following teams abroad, like it's hard to get real attached unless you have a personal connection. So the clubs that I really follow the most are the ones I've had a personal connection to. So I've been an Austin FC season ticket holder since day one. Probably won't continue next year though, just because it's been hard to go to very many games. This year I've only gotten to the season opener. That's been it so far. But in MLS, I've been an MLS fan for a long time, and when I was living in Austin, was thrilled to have a club pop up there. So that's the team that I probably follow the most closely and most passionately. The other teams that I follow are kind of random, just because it's these random personal connections, right? And so, in Europe, the team that I probably appreciate the most and have the most connection to is now in the second Bundesliga, a team called Arminia Bielefeld. And that's only because when I was in high school, I did an exchange and I lived in Bielefeld for a little while. And so it's this random club. They've bumped up and down from first division down to third division. So now they're in second division this year, which I can watch them on ESPN Plus, which is nice. And then Premier League, I've never really been able to get real attached to a team. But Luke, as you know, I've been a self-proclaimed Crystal Palace fan for the past few years, which this is a good time to do that because we just picked up a couple of trophies. So, otherwise it's just a lot of miscellaneous teams and leagues that I'm watching. And the other thing, as I mentioned, I have an Ecuador jersey on. I lived in Ecuador for 4 years, so I love paying attention to the Ecuadorian players across the world, and especially some of them who are playing at the top level in Europe right now.
Yep. And I'm not laughing at Crystal Palace, Luke. And Chris not, but Luke's Zelda level joke from the other weekend still sticks in my head. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's a good joke. But we got the last laugh after those penalties.
Indeed you did, sir. Indeed you did.
Well, and you talk about culture, you talk about coaching. When Scotty was talking about culture, and I'm thinking the Premier League and talking about culture, Crystal Palace is just punching so far above their weight. Like that club has figured out the culture piece.
And that's part of the reason that I kind of arbitrarily picked them. It's like I didn't want to go for a big club, but I wanted a club that has this rich culture, and it comes from working class neighborhood, has really good fans, and it's not about winning trophies necessarily, but just has an awesome culture. So
or at least it wasn't until you started winning something, right?
Very true, very true.
And obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan now for several decades, which was just a connection with a guy I went to college with, and he was a big fan. And the first professional team that I ever followed was Barcelona. From being in El Salvador on a trip, I was there for a gig playing guitar, and all the kids were they come up to you and ask, "Are you Real Madrid or Barca?" And it was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but who are you? And they say Real Madrid. So I said, "Oh, Barca." And turns out it was like Pep Guardiola's Barca team. And so it was like, man, I picked the right team. This is good.
So the right one.
Yeah, and so I've always kind of had an affinity for them. Obviously, Austin FC, just getting to go to those games is something special. Getting to watch one team that I actually always watch whenever they're on, and I can catch it, is Angel City FC in the Women's Professional League. Watching that documentary, I thought was really fascinating, and I really enjoy. Like the women's game is just so different, and I really like the different strategy, and so I enjoy watching that league. And it's fun that the U.S. Women's League is one of the top leagues for women in the world, and that's exciting because it's fun when, like, watching MLS versus Premier League, you kind of see a gap there, and I'm hoping MLS can continue to grow, continue to get better. But watching the women's league, it's like that's the best women's soccer you can watch. And so that's exciting.
And the way they're growing too, because the way that Angel City is kind of organized and run at the moment, but in Kansas City, they have a stadium specifically for the current, the new Denver team is going to build a stadium just for the women's team. So it's like, that's awesome to see that growth. It's a really cool thing to be paying attention to.
So So Scotty, what do you think's important about kind of building soccer culture? You know, obviously you come from both Australia and England, which I don't know much about Australian soccer culture, but I've watched enough of the Socceroos to know like that team is passionately supported, and I would assume that is a reflection of the soccer culture in Australia. But in the UK and these different places, like, what do you think's important about building soccer culture? How do you go about that?
It's just the passion. It's just the passion for the game. You talk about Australia, like, I mean, I might be a little bit biased, but you take the last World Cup in Qatar, I believe we were the closest team to getting over Argentina in the round of 16. You know, I think that they were very lucky to get past us, and we all know who ended up winning the entire competition. And, you know, you take the quality and the level that Argentina had on that field against us, where even the commentators were joking like, oh, hang on, this player for Australia, I don't even know where he plays club football. You know, like there were actual comments made like that, and it sparked a lot of controversy because, you know, there was a fair bit of disrespect towards us. But hey, they beat us 2-1 with a last 5 minutes to go goal, a bit of Messi brilliance, and that was the only reason that Argentina got over us, you know. And I think that really put us on the map again with, you know, just the grit, dedication, hard work. Australians, we're not the most talented, but we will work harder than any other country. And I can assure you, when the World Cup rolls around next year, we're going to be one to watch for. You do not want to be in a group with us because we are gonna outwork anyone. And as I said, it just comes down to the passion. I've had it since a very young age. And, you know, when I was 15, 16, I moved to the UK to pursue professional football, just because there wasn't really an outlet for me to play in Australia. And that was unfortunately the case. You know, if they're in a perfect world, I would have every opportunity to make my dreams a reality in my home country, in Australia. And I didn't have that option. So I did have to move. But things have changed now. Things have changed since when I was 15 years old. So, you know, there is a pathway. There is something set there. And it's really, really exciting. You're seeing young Australian players now making a real name for themselves in Europe's top leagues. And that wasn't a case when I was around, albeit your massive guns, Tim Cahill, Harry Kewell, Mark Viduka, Mark Schwarzer, other than those kind of top caliber players. But now, you know, we just have such a strong contingency of players that are really making their mark. And as I said, it's not the most talented players, but man, they're going to work harder than anyone else. So it's just about, you know, incorporating that passion. And just to touch on what you guys said about the women's soccer, is two maybe 3 years ago, Australia hosted the Women's World Cup. And I don't know if you guys watched much of that or you remember much of that, but that was such an incredible spectacle. And our Australian women's, we made it all the way to the semis. You know, we had an unbelievable tournament, one that we were not expecting to have. And it got to the point where we were selling out our major stadiums. The Melbourne Cricket Ground holds 105,000 people. The Sydney Cricket Ground holds 79,000. We were selling out every game for the Women's World Cup. And, you know, I think that is just a testament to where football is going. Men's, women's, no matter what country you're in. Because you go back 20 years, the United States and Australia were not even on the map when it comes to football. It was Europe, it was South America. Now, guess what? Australia just hosted the most recent Women's World Cup. Next year, North America is hosting the next Men's World Cup. And I think that, like I said, that's a testament to where we've come, because it could be very easy for FIFA to give these tournaments to Spain, to Italy, to France, to Brazil. But they're starting to think now, you know what? Let's give them to these other countries who deserve the opportunity to show what they can do on the world stage. So I love it. It's exciting.
Yeah, well said. To kind of launch off that, I'm curious, how do you think the World Cup is going to affect the NPSL season?
I think it's just going to elevate. I think people are going to be so keen and so excited with what's going on the professional stage. I mean, let me just throw West Texas FC as an example. If you take one of our major sponsors, shout out Tall City Brewing, and they are hosting a watch party for the United States versus Australia on a Friday night. And then West Texas FC is playing against Oklahoma United this Saturday. I think we're going to boost attendance. It's just going to drive sales. I think the demand for people to want to come out and support the local team when they're so invested in the pro team and the World Cup that's happening, it's just going to have an exponential effect. I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
And that's a beautiful thing too, is, you know, there's so many matches in Dallas. It's a 5-hour drive. Go pick it up, come back. I mean, if they're playing on a Tuesday, go see it on a Tuesday. Come see West Texas see it play Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever they were playing.
Exactly.
Well, and I would assume that would be true for all the teams, right? I mean, we go to Fort Worth and play, right?
Yep.
We go to those areas that, those games and those fans will be in those cities from all over the world in this, like right next to where our team is playing. Like that's some, it could be, and I would imagine it's going to be pretty intense in the best way possible, right? I mean, kind of like the World Cup is, right?
Yeah.
Just in general.
That being said, you're also going to get the best, most passionate fans in the world. So if you have two countries, say Australia and Ecuador, are playing each other in Dallas, the Australians and Ecuadorians that are there in Dallas, they're going to be the most passionate fans of their country you could possibly ask for. They've traveled halfway across the world, paid an exorbitant amount of money to go to these games and support their teams. They're going to be the most passionate fans in the world. Not just passionate for their country, passionate for the sport. So if they think, 4 hours away, we've got a semi-professional game in Midland, Texas, but we have a whole day off, I can bet some of those people are going to make the journey. I really believe it.
Well, guys, that's kind of all the questions I have. Chris, Brian, what kind of wrap-up questions do you guys have for Scotty, or thoughts just in general?
I don't have another question, but I have kind of a thought going back to that question that you posed earlier about just building a soccer culture, right? And I think in the States, with so many clubs that are younger and kind of broadly a soccer culture that's younger, it's so much different than in other countries where teams have been established for a long time and that sort of thing. But I think one of the things that comes to mind for me in terms of building a soccer culture is just staying true to your community. And like Scotty said, it's all about passion. You're going to be passionate for your team, for your local team, for your community, but also just staying true to like the local vibe, the local culture of wherever you're at. Because one of the things that was really impressive at the end of this summer was that USL 2 final in
Vermont,
where Vermont Green hosted.
That was lovely.
That scene was incredible, right? That was so cool to see. And I think that's what Vermont Green has done really, really well, is just staying true to their local culture, right? Connecting with the little things in their community that make sense, bringing in, local artists for different things and just staying connected in that way. And so I think that's one thing that's really important. And that's what I love about what we're growing with West Texas FC and La Tormenta, is just building it from the ground up here and connecting with the community that's here in this area.
Definitely.
Yeah. That TIFO in Vermont was dope too.
Yeah, it was super creative.
Oh man, that's one of the things you want to see brought down here. You want to see if we can build this culture up to that standard and beyond, man. And I think it's doable. I really do. We have pockets of soccer fans out here, football fans. We just got to find a way to get them all in one room.
Yeah,
got to find a way to get them to one place.
Yeah.
So I mean, Scotty, you've seen it. I mean, it's not the biggest culture here, but you can feel it bubbling under the surface. There is soccer here. I mean, you go out like this weekend, MSA kicks off. Walk around the pitch over at Butler, walk around the pitch over at Hogan, the Spot, go over to Odessa, UTV, and the Windlands here in Midland. Look at how many families are there. Look at how many kids are there. Look at how many jerseys are there. Teams I've never seen before. The culture's here. We just got to find a way to bottle it.
Yeah.
Catch light in a bottle, if you will. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we hope to do, in this time, and Scotty, just want to say how appreciative, we are for your time. And anytime you're willing to come on the podcast, we love talking soccer with you, and just really appreciate you, hearing your kind of perspective and thoughts on everything. But throughout the off season, we're going to be talking about all these various leagues, all the local soccer going on. We'll have high school soccer kicking off, which is super exciting. We'll have UTPB going on. We'll have the professional teams that we support. We'll be chatting all that stuff because, me as a soccer fan, I find community with other soccer fans. And that's what we want to be, is just a flair for soccer fans in the West Texas community. So, Brian, what are some of the things coming up here soon? Even this we record this on a Thursday, happening this weekend, that involve West Texas FC, involve soccer, and involve La Tormenta.
Well, you got September Fest coming up, Museum of the Southwest. Pretty nice little showing. West Texas FC is going to have a tent there. Two of these fine gentlemen on this podcast with me will be out there representing for La Tormenta and for the squad. This weekend, MSA kicks off. I'll be in the bright yellow West Texas FC jersey, coaching my daughter, running around watching my daughter, watching my son in Odessa. I have a pocket full of La Tormenta cards. If you're interested in signing up, come see me. QR codes are easy to scan. If you don't know how to work your camera on your phone, one of my kids will show you how to do that, because I'm not as technologically proficient as I used to be. I mean, we got some good stuff coming around the corner, man. I mean, where are we at? This is September now. So, high school ball is going to start December, January-ish for, football, soccer, or American, but I keep calling it football, man. I'm used to it by now, but soccer. Scotty, it's got to be a challenge for you, man, to deal with this.
Tough. Yeah, I just may do. Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I feel, but we have a lot of good stuff coming down the line, man. Like I said, with MSA out there, with OSA going to be kicking off soon. Practicing's happening. I know my son's trying to try out for the legacy team, lead team, whatever they are, this turn of events. So it's in season, guys. We got a lot of stuff going on. So look around, find us. We'll be out there, and we'd love to have some more people join our group. Sign up, come support. Just talk whatever soccer you want. Premier League, Champions League, MLS. You want to talk about junior high? We can do that too. I'll figure out the teams. We'll learn it.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add too. We were talking about women's soccer. We were talking about women's soccer earlier. I'll just add as well. Yeah. UTPB women. They kicked off tonight. So they played their first game. I was just checking the score here, and looks like it ended in a draw. So 0-0, but they picked up a point. But we went out to a few of those games last year, and those are fun games to see some live soccer here in the area. So that's cool that they're starting their season.
Yeah, we got to get back to a couple of those, man. They're a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
UTPB is a blast to go see. Man, I really wish West Texas FC would get out here with the women's team too eventually. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would be exciting. Well, to kind of wrap us up, Scotty, I'm just curious. I want to give you the final word. We got the gaffer on the podcast, so I can't. You're the guy who gives the talk at the end of the match. So I'm curious for the La Tormenta soccer community of West Texas. Just what's kind of the thought you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, I mean, just because the summer season's ended doesn't mean football's ended. Like I said to you, the fall is such a busy time, such a fun time for football. Like I said, I don't get a moment's time to breathe because I'm watching so many games. I'm supporting my boys in their colleges, in their respective colleges, and supporting my Southampton and all the other leagues across Europe. So just get involved. If you have questions, there are people around that are willing to help and guide you. And it's such a fun community to be a part of. And even as a coach, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly asking questions, and I'm constantly excited to meet people with a newfound interest in the sport, especially here in West Texas. So yeah, it's a fun time to be involved. It's a fun time to ask questions, and it's an exciting time to be involved with La Tormenta and West Texas FC moving forward. That's all.